According to ESPN's Dan Graziano, the Minnesota Vikings are putting Kirk Cousins at the forefront of their offseason plans, and that the Vikings are hoping to get something accomplished with Cousins and his camp in terms of a contract extension within the next few weeks. Also of note by Graziano, Danielle Hunter negotiations are on hold until the Kirk situation gets figured out one way or another. When I initially saw that report, I instantly thought and said to myself, man, the Vikings are really going to drag this thing out with Kirk into no man's land. There's going to be no end. He's going to have multiple suitors reportedly that they're going to be so focused on trying to retain Kirk that Danielle Hunter is going to they're going to forget about him. He's going to end up walking away to another team. But the more that I sat back and thought about it, which I've gotten better at that because before, years past, when I see something like that, I instantly react, and admittedly, I would get overly emotional at times. But the more that I sat back and thought about it, I said, all right, I don't want Kirk to come back. They do. If it's at the right price, okay, fine. $20 million is my limit. I don't care if he's going to get more than that. That's my line. Sorry, not sorry. But as long as the Vikings have a hard deadline set with Kirk, this is the date that we're going to figure this out or not figure it out. Can we work together? This is the number we're thinking about. Do you agree? If so, great. If not, hey, we'll see you on the other side. As long as they have an absolute deadline set to where they allow themselves the opportunity to still negotiate with Danielle Hunter before he can sign somewhere else, I'm good with that. And speaking of Danielle Hunter, Jeremy Fowler reported that Hunter will have a, quote, very strong market, which of course he will. He specifically mentioned the Jacksonville Jaguars, which, man, that takes me back to in the middle of the season before the trade deadline. Go ahead, and I even said it last offseason, trade this dude. You got to trade him. He's all about business. He's not going to wait around for loyalties to stay with this franchise. This man has had multiple holdouts, hold-ins. He's all about his money. Trade him. He's going to be 30 years old next year. You have a long ways to go before you're a contender, a true contender anyway. Trade him. You can get a first-round pick. I mentioned Jacksonville. They had the need for a Danielle Hunter for his position. They had the draft capital for a trade, and they have the money to pay him. It makes the most sense. Trade him to Jacksonville. And you could have got a first-round pick. Can you imagine, on top of having pick 11 in the first round, also having pick 17? How great would that look right now? He also mentioned the Chicago Bears. And could you imagine letting this man, not trading him, letting him walk for nothing, and him staying in the division, wreaking havoc on you, the team that had this man in your own building? That would be crazy. That would be an all-time disaster. But going back to the quarterback situation, Kirk Cousins. Tom Pelissero talks about a contingency plan for the Vikings in the event that they can't keep Kirk. He says, quote, Minnesota is examining all options in the event that Cousins ends up landing elsewhere. If, in fact, the price tag goes too high, the Vikings likely would pursue a more economical veteran. One guy who is a possibility, Sam Darnold, the 49ers' current backup. Hope that veteran becomes this year's Baker Mayfield while also buying them time to develop a rookie quarterback. And with Kirk's dead cap, the Vikings only have two options at quarterback when it comes to 2024. Either trade up for one of the top three guys in this year's draft or a cheap bridge quarterback that you can sign on a vet minimum deal. I talked about this last week. Sam Darnold is a realistic option for the Vikings. If Kirk walks away and it's announced that the Vikings are signing Sam Darnold, you're going to have to embrace the fact that this team is going to suck for a while. This team's going to be bad. They're not going to win games, but he's competent enough to at least keep Justin Jefferson happy in the short term, give him still the opportunities to break records game after game. I talked about before the team building philosophies between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Niners, we have a quarterback on a rookie deal, and we are going to boost up the rest of the team. The Chiefs, however, they have Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And speaking of the Chiefs, this is the worst version of the Chiefs in the Patrick Mahomes era that we have seen. This roster, man, you replace Patrick Mahomes with any other quarterback in the league, their ceiling is they can make the playoffs. Maybe win a playoff game. I mean, one of their main receivers was so bad that he was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. And Mahomes down 22-19 in overtime, their final possession. Patrick Mahomes went up against, in terms of just 5 out of 11 starters on their defense, San Francisco. 5 out of 11 starters. Patrick Mahomes went up against $116 million. Hey, we don't have a generational quarterback here, but we have a solid enough guy, and we have a great defense. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at you. And this man marched down the field and won it for the Chiefs. I mean, for the Niners, I feel bad for 49ers fans to lose like that, where it's, man, we put everything into this defense. It's mano a mano. Which side is going to win this battle? And it was Mahomes. Man, Patrick Mahomes is Tom Brady. We don't get guys like that very often. I understand the need. We got to find our franchise quarterback that we can feel good about. Everybody's trying to figure that out. But it's a difference between a franchise quarterback and a generational quarterback. Whereas that roster that the Chiefs have, the only reason that they can win titles still, get to championship games, is because of, oh man, Patrick Mahomes against Baltimore, at Baltimore, against Buffalo, at Buffalo. Two better teams, clearly, but they have Patrick Mahomes, the guy that just makes, and he's not even making those sexy plays anymore. He's just making winning plays consistently. That's the difference right there. 7 out of the last 10 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks have been Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. The other 3, Peyton Manning, who is beyond his years with Denver, Matthew Stafford, that was a one-time deal, and the Philadelphia Eagles. And the point that I'm getting at here is that until you find that generational quarterback that everybody's looking for, the only other option that you have is to build up the rest of the team, get as good of a quarterback as you can, and hope. Sam Darnold, he's not going to, as Tom Pelissero is saying, the Vikings are hoping that the veteran bridge quarterback becomes Baker Mayfield. That's not going to happen with Sam Darnold at all. But the point is Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes? No. Do you have a strong enough roster around a guy like Kirk Cousins to be a true contender? No. Then what are we doing here? I'm fine with going with a Sam Darnold for a year as a bridge quarterback. Off topic, it's been reported that the Patriots may be open to trading the number 3 overall pick in this draft. And if that is the case, I'm going to do another mock draft here, mimicking the trade last year between the Cardinals and the Texans, in which case after the pick swap, the Texans traded up from 12-3. Arizona, they got 12 and 33. So a first or the pick swap and a second round pick, along with a future first round pick and third round pick. Houston also received pick number 105. So trying to mimic that trade for this mock draft, the Vikings going from 11-3. They're giving up, obviously, after the pick swap, pick 42. And the Vikings also get pick 103. At pick 3, the Minnesota Vikings, in this case, select Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. And then after that, folks, you don't have a pick until 103. So I'm going best player available. At pick 103, Christian Haynes, guard out of Connecticut. At pick 108, the Vikings select Braden Fisk, defensive tackle out of Florida State. 129, Vikings select Brendan Rice, son of Jerry Rice, wide receiver out of USC. At pick 155, Muhammad Kamara, edge rusher out of Colorado State. 164, Eric All, tight end from TEU, Iowa. 178, staying with Iowa, Torrey Taylor. The agenda I have for him to be the next punter of the Vikings at pick 178. Lastly, at pick 189, Jalen Wright, running back out of Tennessee. Set a hard deadline with Kirk Cousins that still allows you to have a window to negotiate with Danielle Hunter. If need be, I'm okay with Sam Darnold or any bridge quarterback on the cheap that can still give Jefferson a chance to get his numbers. And if the Patriots are truly willing to trade out of number 3 by any means necessary, go and get it done. Give yourselves a chance.